From Studio 3 at Buzz TV, it's The Horse's Mouth with Tom McManus.
All right, time once again for The Horse's Mouth here at Tommy Mac's, of course, at my bar, where everyone has a shot to take a seat, grab a beverage, and tell their story. We have a heart specialist today. Can't wait to get into it with Dr. Koren. He's an MD. He's got a great podcast as well. This show brought to you by our friends at Brandon Brewski. They make our glasses right here. They do a fantastic job. Great to have them on board. All right, let's go to the bar and welcome the doc in. Doc Koren, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, Tommy.
Good to see you again. We saw each other, we figured it out 29 years ago, something like that?
Exactly. At a golf tournament.
Yeah. Great town, isn't it?
Yeah,
Love
it's fabulous. Yeah.
All right, so cardiology, doc. You're a specialist in cardiology.
I am.
How long have you been doing that for?
I've been a cardiologist since 1991.
No kidding. You
Yep.
went to Harvard.
I did go to Harvard Medical School, yes.
Wow, unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And you've been here since around that time, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Tell us about your podcast, MedEvidence. It's you
MedEvidence,
guys talking about.
Yeah. So we've been trying to help people navigate the complexities of the healthcare world. So when you ask Dr. Google a question, you'll typically get an answer, but it's typically going to be an answer based on somebody trying to sell you something. Let's face it.
Right.
Okay. So what we've done with MedEvidence is get to the truth behind the data. Okay. So whatever the medical issue is, you have a situation where there's some things we know for sure, there's some things we really don't know, and there's a process to learn about the stuff that we don't know. Okay. And we help people navigate that. Okay. So that you can make good decisions based on your own individual circumstances that'll help you and your family.
Is that for all of medicine, or specific towards the heart, or what are we talking about?
It's for all of medicine.
All of it.
So obviously, I would be considered a content expert for cardiology. Right. But I bring in people from all different fields, and I'm the interviewer, and just use my medical knowledge to help navigate the discussion. So, a lot of doctors, when they get on, they can be brilliant people, content experts, but they're not always so great at distilling it down to a level that the average person can understand. So I help those physicians do that. And then we get into the controversies. We ask the hard questions, the stuff that we don't know. Right. So, a great example of that is all the noise about vaccines. Okay, good one. So it's a great one, and everybody seems to have a hardened position on that. And sometimes this is politically based. Sure. But you actually look at the data, you should be making a decision based on your individual circumstances. Of course. So let's talk about COVID vaccines. It's a very controversial thing. Yeah, good. I was personally involved in the COVID vaccine trials. Our company was hired by Pfizer, Moderna, and Novavax to actually run the studies here in town. We put 1,500 people into COVID vaccine studies before they were approved by the FDA. And now there's also controversy. Are they good or are they bad? Should you have them, should you not? Well, the first question is, who are you? Right. So we know that people who are older in age have devastating complications of COVID. People who are younger tend to have very mild illnesses. But if you're a younger person that is exposed to older people, you may want to think about your likelihood of getting COVID versus getting a vaccine and reducing the likelihood of COVID. The flip side is that there is a higher risk of developing pericarditis when you're younger and you get the vaccine. So if you're a younger person, 20-year-old healthy person, you're not dealing with older people, you may not want to get the vaccine because of that reason. Right.
Is that swelling of the heart? Is that what
it is, yeah. It's actually the lining of the heart.
The lining of the heart. Right. Because there's been some, I was going to ask you that, is that factual?
It is.
That there are some cases
It's a rare complication, but it's definitely a complication of the vaccine. And importantly, it happens more frequently in younger people rather than older people. Right. So the interesting part of it is that older people get the most benefit from the vaccine and have fewer side effects from the vaccine. Gotcha. But you don't hear that.
No, you don't.
You hear, oh, it's either good or bad. Well, it depends on your circumstances.
And what media you listen
exactly.
to.
There you go. Exactly.
That's the biggest problem of them all.
Totally.
No
totally.
question about it. All right, let's talk the heart real quick.
Sure.
All right, I'm 54 years old, so getting into that. I mean, I've always been a healthy guy, but concerns and whatnot. What should people look for as they get a little bit older and make sure that heart is healthy?
Sure, a great question. So you should know certain facts about yourself. Some of them will be obvious. What's your family history? Okay. I have a joke that one of the most important things to good health is to pick good parents. Right. So you had a little discussion before about that. So that's really important, is your individual circumstances and your family history. But there's certain things you should know for sure. what's your blood pressure doing? You should know that.
Okay.
And that's measurable. Not everybody does it, but you should know it.
Is 120/80 still what we're looking for?
That's great.
Okay.
But blood pressure fluctuates.
Okay.
So when you're working out, when you're hitting the treadmill hard, that top number is going to go up.
Sure.
So if you take your blood pressure right after that, you shouldn't freak out that it's 160/80.
Right.
For example. So these are individual circumstances. So you should know your blood pressure.
Okay.
You should know your cholesterol level.
Okay.
Okay.
Good one.
But
the bad cholesterol or total or what?
Exactly. Now we're getting into that. So knowing your cholesterol level is just the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
You should know a breakdown of your cholesterol, good versus bad,
Right.
LDL versus HDL.
Right.
But but if you have a family history, you should also know about something called lipoprotein little a.
Okay.
Have you heard of that?
I've heard of the proteins are very important in in disease and whatnot.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. The lipoproteins are what circulates in your bloodstream that actually delivers these components to the different cells. So
not bad for a bartender, Doc.
Hey, I'm impressed, man. I'm impressed. So yeah, lipoprotein little a runs in families.
Okay.
So if you have a strong family history, we definitely want to know about it. But the current recommendation is that everybody should get their LPA or lipoprotein little a checked.
Okay.
So we're doing a lot of lipoprotein little a research.
Gotcha.
The latest thing is something called HSCRP, which is a marker of blood inflammation.
Okay.
So what's interesting is we've made tremendous progress in cardiovascular disease by reducing blood pressure and cholesterol. But we're stuck now. Over the last 10 years, the progress we made between, say, 1980 and 2015 has kind of gone away. We're plateaued.
Okay.
So the question is, how do we get lower? Now, some of that are what we call secular headwinds, meaning that people are eating more, they're more overweight, they're eating less healthy, and some of them are not taking their statin drugs because of some of the bad press around statins, which is unwarranted, quite frankly. But these are things that we're dealing with. But there's other factors, and one of those factors is inflammation of the blood vessels. And the simplest way of testing for that is something called HSCRP.
Okay.
And that's you probably haven't heard of that.
No, I haven't.
But it's a very simple test that you can get to show
I'm calling you off air, by the way.
Okay. No.
Make sure I get all these tests done.
Absolutely. So I would certainly recommend for somebody in your circumstances to get that checked.
Okay, I will. Definitely. All right, how can people find your podcast?
Very simple, MedEvidence.com.
Okay.
And our brand is MedEvidence with an exclamation point.
Okay.
But you can easily find the podcast. You can learn about these different areas.
Yeah.
We have hundreds of podcasts at this point. We also have lectures that are put on there, PowerPoint presentations. We have non-physicians that give a sort of a lay presentation of certain areas if you want it really less technical. We have that as well.
Okay.
And we also are always looking for people to get involved in clinical research, which is this whole concept of research as a care option.
Okay, great.
And have you done a research study before?
I haven't.
It's a really cool thing.
Is it really?
It's a really cool thing. What I like to help people understand, people hear about, am I a guinea pig? What's going to happen in these things? But research actually has a lot of different facets to it. Not all of it is even drug testing.
Okay.
But here's the cool statistic. If you ask the average person, are you very interested in a research study? Only about 30 or 40% of Americans or Europeans are interested.
Okay.
If you say your doctor thinks it's a good idea, are you interested? Then it goes up to 50%.
Okay.
But if you ask people that have done a research study before, would you do a second research study? 97 to 99% of people say I would do a second study.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's like a lifestyle experience.
Okay. Yeah.
So we like to let people know about that and help people understand why many, many other people are doing these research studies.
I would do it. I'd have to know what the study is. Of
course.
First. Like not drinking beer during this show. I don't know if I could do that study. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, listen, great to have you on the show.
Same here.
Great to see you again. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah, and thanks for having me.
Us about the heart, especially, just overall general health.
And thanks for having me.
Make sure you check out Dr. Koren's profile in this conversation and so many others. Just go to the dailynewsnetwork.com website. Till next time, stay safe out there and be cool and get everything checked out, man, so you're nice and healthy and live a long and prosperous life. We'll see you next time right here on The Horse's Mouth.